Krishnamurti was no one's idea of a holy man. He said God was a human invention, born out of fear, and that there is no power outside of man. And here I am, having spent years in temples and ashrams, surrendering to the divine, writing books that say, you are the very God the religions teach you to adore. An atheist's demolition versus the mystic's worship. About as opposite as it gets. Except the deepest mystics agree with Yuji that the God most people pray to does not exist. They just don't stop where he stops. And where they go next is the most interesting turn in all of this. Let's walk into it. Yuji traces God back to a feeling. Fear. His words. Man, in the beginning, was a frightened being. He turned everything that was uncontrollable into something divine or cosmic and worshipped it. It was in that frame of mind that he created, quote-unquote, God. And there is no power outside of man. Man has created God out of fear. So the problem is fear and not God. Then he goes after the spiritual version too. The God you don't kneel to in a church, but chase on a meditation cushion. God, or enlightenment, is the ultimate pleasure, uninterrupted happiness. No such thing exists. Your wanting something that does not exist is the root of your problem. So for Yuji, every God, the one in the sky and the one at the end of your spiritual path, is the same move. A frightened creature inventing a power outside itself, then spending its life reaching for it. Now here's what surprises people. The greatest mystics are not on the other side of this. They torched the external God long before Yuji did. The non-dual traditions say plainly, God is not a separate being somewhere above you, keeping score. Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The Upanishads say, thou art that. You are the divine, not its supplicant. Nisargadatta wouldn't point you to a God in the sky. He'd point you to the I am you already are. In my own books I wrote it as bluntly as I could. Maybe you are the dark energy the physicists chase. Maybe you are the spirit the religions name. Maybe you are the very God they taught you to adore. So, the mystics take Yuji's exact demolition, there is no power outside of man, and finish the sentence he refuses to finish. No power outside, because the power was never outside. It's the being looking out of your own eyes. So watch how close these two actually stand. Yuji says there is no God out there, no power outside you, and the whole reaching upward is fear dressed as devotion. The mystics say yes, and the thing the word God was always fumbling toward is not out there either. It's the very awareness you are. Same demolition of the external. The mystics just refuse to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yuji drops the word God entirely, because to him it's so soaked in fear and reaching that it can only mislead. The mystics keep the word, but empty it of the Sky King and point it back at your own essence. One says stop reaching up, there's nothing there. The other says stop reaching up, it's already what you are. Both turn you away from the heavens and back toward the one thing doing the looking. Both end the most exhausting search of all, the search for a savior outside of yourself. And notice the irony Yuji would hate me pointing out. A man who says there is no power outside of man is making the single most mystical statement there is. He just won't sign it in God's name. I spent years reaching up. I knelt to the Guru, I waited on grace, I pleaded with the divine I was sure was holier and higher and elsewhere than me. And it was beautiful. Devotion cracks the heart open. The mystics and that devotion walked me to the edge of the cliff. They got me to, you are that. The kingdom is within. The God you adore is your own being. I could almost taste it. But part of me was still looking up, still a small worshiper, hoping the big God would reach down and hand me something. And then Yuji pushed me off. There is no power outside of you. No one is up there. No one is coming. He took away the last divine hand I was waiting for. And in the falling, there was no God above me and no beggar below. There was just being, the thing every temple had been pointing at, and the thing I'd been on my knees in front of the whole time, never once suspecting it was looking out of my own eyes. So is God a fearful invention, or your own deepest truth? Both, depending on which God you mean. The one outside you, keeping score, waiting to be appeased? Yuji is right. You can lay that one down. And the being it was always a clumsy word for, that you can never lay down, because it's what you are. Stop reaching up. Whatever you were calling God, the mystics and the anti-guru agree on this much. It was never above you. It was never outside you. I wrote about being that in I Do Not Exist and Neither Do You, and I Don't Care, linked below. Subscribe and I'll see you at the next contradiction. And until then, the search for a power outside you ends the moment you notice who's been searching.